Hello and welcome. Today we've got Deborah Pietsch and Scott Bartle, and we are going to be discussing reversing satanic energies and frequencies that are being put out there and how for us to reverse those and take back power. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to our Telegram channels and to nicholasveniamin.com for my free email updates. And if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview, unless, of course, myself and the guests can choose our words wisely due to the insane censorship that's happening right now. Deborah and Scott, thank you for joining me. How are you and what have you been up to? We'll go with Deborah first.
Hi, Nicholas. Thank you. And we are very excited and grateful to be back with you. And yeah, we've been up to a lot. Since we were on your show last, which we were talking about the PMAs, the Private Membership Association, we've actually put that on hold, although it's still vitally important. And we've moved back into our spiritual teachings and retreats. And we have an event, a broadcast coming up on Sunday for the Super Bowl. And this is a repeat of something that we did back in 2015, but taking it to a whole nother level. And so that's one of the big things that we want to talk about today. And as we're talking about reversing demonic energies, we're going to go here in this conversation into a bit of a deep dive and connect some of the dots and some of the things that we are going to be talking about on the Super Bowl broadcast, which is going to be about a 4-hour marathon with amazing people. And we're going to be getting into decoding and symbology, as well as I said, connecting the dots of how all this is interfering and manipulating our reality, our free will, God's will, and people's daily lives.
Absolutely. I was talking to somebody the other day who is very high up in the music industry, and we had a very private conversation. I asked him if he could come on the show, and he's very higher up that he said he can't, and he has to be protected. And we were talking how, even music today, they put in certain frequencies in there to keep us on a very low density and a very dark energy and to keep us suppressed. And he wanted to make music opposite to that, where we can reverse that, because one hit song with the right frequency can really make a difference and a great impact to the world. Scott, how are you?
Yep.
Good, thanks, Nicholas. And yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. That's exactly what we're going to be doing. So you've got these satanic rituals that are taking place at the halftime show. And for those people who are not familiar with that, this has been going on for quite some time. Yep. And I would definitely encourage you to go poke around and have a look at some of these ceremonies, but they're also packaged as entertainment under the guise of like the Super Bowl halftime show. But also take a look at the opening ceremonies to the Olympic Games. For example, Barcelona and London. And it's very interesting when you look at those, particularly today from the perspective of this world of COVID. Go take a look at those opening ceremonies and look at the symbology employed in that opening ceremony and just ask yourself, is that remotely similar to bacteria and viruses and infestation and evil? And then come back to 2022 and go, hang on, what was going on if they knew about that sort of stuff back then? Were they programming and planning the reality of where we're headed to and where we are now?
And filtering it into the consciousness. So this has been my wheelhouse since about 2010, when I was absolutely just focused on love and light and consciousness from my 1987 awakening. And what we have now really are seeing in our reality, this level of evil we've never experienced before. It's out here now. And, over the last 12 years, as this has been my primary foundational teachings of having people understand that we've got conjured energies and entities into this reality that are not meant to be here, and that they are wreaking havoc with our daily lives, everything from personal finances to health to well-being to relationships. And now it's become a lot more common in the lexicon of our conversations of people saying, well, I'm under spiritual attack, or that's evil. That's become a daily conversation Whereas even 2 years ago, it wasn't in the lexicon of our experience and our conversation. So here, I'm going to say I was ahead of the time, but I was being prepared back 12 years ago, very unbeknownst to me, when God started showing me all of this evil and the intent, as well as the demonic, the ceremonies and the rituals, and how it's interfering with our free will. And so now, as it was a very fringe conversation, it's a much more common conversation, but it's important that we connect the dots. It's important that we go into solution mode. And that's I've had experiential tools since 2012 to assist people in actually identifying the infiltration in their own personal lives, as well as taking it to the next level of basically transmuting these energies. And that's why we were saying reversing energies, right? Learning how to transmute these energies, but also to take ownership in their field so that they know how to put up the no trespassing signs and command these energies and entities out of your life. Now, there's the Super Bowl halftime show and the other ceremonies. That's a much bigger scale. So we're going on the offense, and this is what we're the whole thing with this broadcast, which is like I said, going to be about 4 hours, and amazing people have come on board, and we're going on the offense because we've got to go into solution mode. We've got to go down those rabbit holes one more level and connect the dots of how all that is interfering. It's not like they're doing it over there. They're doing it over there and they are interfering with our free will. It's here.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So before we go into the solution of the offense and stopping that and going against that and changing that energies, the dark energies to good,
Mm-hmm.
can you explain to the viewers how do they actually implement those demonic frequencies? In what way?
Okay, I'll jump onto that.
Yeah.
One. Okay, so in the same way as what you were describing with the music, how you can have certain frequencies broadcast and that sort of stuff. Think of this from the perspective, everyone's familiar with the term guilty conscience, right? It's kind of like a day-to-day phrase. So that there is in your consciousness, you've got like the energetic signature of guilt. Now, transpose that into something, say, for example, music. What is the energetic signature that you are imbuing into that music and then broadcasting out to the audience? So when you look at a ceremony, particularly something like the halftime show at the Super Bowl, you have high-end entertainment names, celebrities, flashy outfits, performance, lights, you name it, and the media are hyping it up like crazy. And you've got millions of adoring fans glued to the performance, expressing their energy, basically intent, surrounding that performance. Now, if you imbue into that performance an energetic signature of evil and utilize certain symbology to reflect that, whether it be 666, whether it be checkered floors, whether it be goat horns, inverted pentagrams, they're all there. All of that symbology is littered through those halftime shows over the years. And when you've got millions of people focusing their energy and intent on those shows, they think they're engaging with entertainment. They think they're just participating
and adoring fans
innocently. But unfortunately, and this is what the media do, they're capturing, even if it's only a small portion of our creative capabilities by our focusing on those events. And they are using all of the millions of people to participate in this show ceremony to create the reality that they have intended and architected. So that's the background on how they do it. And like you said with the music, you create music with evil intent. That's what starts manifesting into the reality. That's why they're doing it. They're doing it to create that reality.
I'm going to add something to that. That when you think about your heart is a gateway, your eyes are a gateway, your ears are a gateway, And how we create reality is we're working with the quantum field. I'm just going to make it simple, right? So we have a thought, we have a possibility, and then that turns into a possibility. To move that into a probability, it takes an emotional. As you know, we are emotional beings. It takes the emotion of the heart, an open heart, and the electromagnetic energy of an open heart, like a heart that's in love. I'm just going to use that as an example. You're in a high vibration. Well, as you move that energy from a possibility into a probability, then you are engaging with the thoughts of it. You're taking action with it. You're engaging with it in another way. Let's say if you got a project. So you're passionate about this project. You're passionate about your show, right? You're engaging in the activity of the passion and the heart's desire of that, along with taking action. And so what people, for the most part, are being used to do, and this isn't just in the ceremonies, this is with the media, the news, the NEWS, North, East, West, South. Right? Let that sink in for a second. They're utilizing the four corners, and they're using us to create a reality most of us do not want to engage with, do not want. And this is where we've got to take our power back. This is where we have to go, holy shit, excuse my language, sorry. You go, what they're doing, I now understand. Now I can become empowered. I'm educating myself to understand how I am being used and how I'm going to stop that and become the sovereign, powerful, empowered being that I'm here creating the reality that I choose. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Of course. And when you're speaking, I was just thinking that and remembering that I heard that these massive Super Bowl concerts and places like that, even in the Olympics, they also have radio transmitters where they can transmit the frequency that they want as well. So
Right.
I've heard stuff like that. They can attack us through that as well, because when we say, oh, I really like your company, I love the vibe that you have, I love being around you. That's what it is. We are experiencing the vibration of the other person, because we it's our intuition, it's everything's energy, and that's what it is. It's what we're talking about today, and it's how we can reverse the dark vibrations. So let's move on to those solutions now. What do we need to do to move on to those dark energies? Go on, Scott. Did you want to say something there?
Yeah, because I love that one where you said about the vibe, and it flashes back to an Australian movie from years back. And you got this clumsy lawyer in the court, and he's trying to argue some constitutional point. And when pushed by the judge, he literally just responds by saying, it's the vibe of the Constitution. And a lot of Aussies will appreciate that as a classic old movie. But that moves into the solution aspect, is transmuting those energies that are broadcast and engaged with from the evil and the dark force aspect. And I'll often use the analogy of noise-cancelling headphones. And what the noise-cancelling headphones do is they take that energetic signature, which is the noise from outside, and they record it, and then they flip the sine wave and broadcast it back. And the end result is flattening the curve. Where have we heard that before? Flattening the curve.
Well, yeah.
That was supposed to be the COVID thing, but I haven't actually used that.
We won't use that. We won't use that word on this video. The C word.
No.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. We didn't.
The C word.
So we've nullified that energetic signature by basically broadcasting the opposite intent to the evil agenda. We're engaging with love and frequencies of joy and happiness and benevolence, which is the opposite of what is being intended with these evil ceremonies. So that's where we talk about transmuting. We're literally nullifying those frequencies by broadcasting the opposite.
Okay, sorry. I was also going to jump in because that is definitely a part of it. There's one thing that I haven't shared much over the last several years, and this is a very big part of this conversation for people to grasp, is that so when we did this back in 2015, I reached out to, in particular, we had amazing people on, and we had like 10 days to pull it together. But we had people like Sean Stone and Freeman Fly and Mark Passio. But I also reached out to an ex-warlock that had just really had recently just come over into the vibration of God and light. And so we had some very in-depth conversations with him. And he confirmed everything that I had been being told by God and the guidance that I receive, and added one thing that is absolutely imperative for people to understand, because he was a third highest rated warlock of New York State. And I said, well, how do you get rated? How is this that you are, recognized in this ranking? And he explained that everything is organized across the planet, and they're called precincts. And that just as many of us have in the past, well, I haven't, but being in the entertainment industry, you work your way up the corporate ranks, right? You work your way up the corporate ladder. And how these witches and warlocks and Freemasons across the planet, how they get their ranking is by how much devastation is in their precinct, in their town, how much homelessness, how much joblessness, ill, how many people are ill, how much. So when you look back, and when all those things were going on here with the riots and fires and all of the, protesting and everything, and, politicians were just turning a blind eye. Well, a lot of these politicians are actually involved in the Freemason. That's how they're actually in the position that they're in, and why we're seeing so many people have actually sold their soul, and, they're not actually for we the people. When you understand that this is how they actually get their ranking, then you can connect the dot of how and why this is being allowed to occur. So if your town, and you've got people that aren't even politicians, like this person was not a politician, but he was rated in the satanic, Freemason order. Exactly. And so if a town has, or a city has more murder, which is what we're seeing now, right here in the States, as you do your satanic practices, you move up in the ranks. So this is really important for people to understand, that we've got people, millions and millions of people doing spell casting, doing hexing, doing these rituals and ceremonies and the sacrifices to basically take down humanity. And that's the war that we're in right now.
Absolutely, we are. Please, Scott, please.
And that's where it actually comes and hits home, if you like. Like Deb said earlier on, if you think it's just going on over there, right, and you go, I don't need to know about that, because I'm okay over here. Mm-hmm. When you've got it being practiced by politicians, well, guess what? They're making legislations. Right. I think most of us have experienced certain kind of rules that have been forced upon them over the last couple of years that they wouldn't ordinarily have expected. It starts with M and isn't constitutional, but these kind of things are now starting to be experienced by people. And if you peel back those layers of the onion, yes, and find out why, and that they're not actually out there to fix the problem, but part of it is to create the problem, right, for their rankings and how they...
So there's two realities going on. Mm-hmm. So they've got their reality and we've got our reality. And what I've been saying for years is most of us are living a life like we think we're playing baseball, but we're actually existing in a reality where it's a football game, and there are a lot of non-physical energies and entities, and the football players actually have knives. And so you're like constantly getting thwarted and tackled. And so now the good news is where people are now finally seeing it. There's millions of people now that have, moved in the last couple of years from using the word insane has now become very common in our lexicon of conversations, right? And then also the word evil. And we've never, years prior, we've never used the word evil on a daily basis the way it's now being used. And you're seeing people, well-known people actually use it. Well, that evil has to be addressed. And so we as humanity have to go on the offense. We've got to become very educated to understand who and what we really are dealing with as far as the enemy is concerned.
Absolutely. Many of us doing these interviews like you and I are actually apolitical, and it might seem that we're political, but it's not. It's really because this is the fight between good and evil. And when people transcend, if you like, and increase their awareness to what's going on, we're actually fighting against evil.
Yeah, we are.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's an inside job as well. I mean, people also have to do their work as well, right? I've got an experiential tool I'm going to be creating as part of the academy that we're launching is combating your internal enemy. And so it's all the shadow stuff, your fears. I mean, this is what's going on right now is and fear. They want people to be in survival because not only are you controllable, but you also can't create the reality that you want when you're in fear and survival.
Absolutely. So why don't we talk, go into that with what you were saying about, how we can reverse these energies.
Okay. Do you want to address that or do you want me to jump in?
You go.
Okay. So what the teachings that I had back 10, 12 years ago was to be able to identify the infiltration. So just say in all of my decades of conscious evolution and awakening, and I was experiencing, I never thought this was going to become my wheelhouse. I was trying to get conscious media off the ground in Hollywood in the late 80s, all through the 90s. And never did I think that this was going to become like my wheelhouse. But what I was being taught and told is that first of all, you've got to identify them, and then the infiltration in your life, let's just say in your personal life. And then, so I started creating in 2012 experiential tools I'm an activator. I bring through high vibration frequency and when I activate, and so it's transmuting energies. So like with these experiential tools, like I've got clearing your field 101, clearing your field 102, the energies that are coming through are basically you're working in a phraseology. They're like training wheels to put these energies on notice and saying, okay, I'm taking back my sovereignty. I'm becoming empowered. I understand, I'm starting to understand and become like the captain of my ship again. And you put these energies and entities on notice and you start to recalibrate through the energies that I bring forward. And you start to recalibrate into another level of empowerment, shall I say. It's the easiest way to describe it, right? And you learn how to, through these experiential tools, you learn how to transmute these energies. So, and not just learn, but also work with the energy to transmute them. So if you've got fears coming up, like let's say monkey mind, and you're constantly, like one of my tools is called Red Pill Remedy. It's returning and recalibrating to a calm center point. Right. So right now, people are really flared up in what they're going through. We're in the transition of this great awakening, and understand. Part of it is becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable, but the other part of it is being able to do the self work to transmute so that you can move forward in a proactive way in what you are wanting and intending, and understand. And also the big thing about this is understanding that things do go bump in the night. and that there are things going on around you, highly probable things going on around you, that once you actually have some awareness about how these entities and energies are actually interfering and creating distractions, and can even get into the mix of things and create the challenges, that you can actually start to identify. Now you can work, you have something new to work with. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And also, you reminded me as well. The other day, I was speaking to a friend, telling him about, you need to watch the fall of the cabal. You need to, raise your consciousness, and not him personally, but people in plural, and to be aware. And he goes, oh, I like what you do. You do the interviews, but what can I do? I feel like I can't do anything, and I need to be part of a collectiveness. And I says to him, well, even when you're sitting at home by yourself in the living room or your bedroom, just the fact that you're living into, you're vibrating a love frequency, and you're raising your consciousness, and you're aware, you're already doing
Yeah.
you're already radiating that energy into your whole neighborhood. You don't need to meet anyone. And that's what it is. It's about you. We are part of a collectiveness, because our consciousness is connected with
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
Can I add a quick analogy that might help with what Deb just described? And it ties in with what you just said there, Nicholas. You can go from someone who's sitting on the couch just engaging with those joy vibrations, love vibrations, all the way through the full spectrum up to being a full-on demon slayer. And there's a big spectrum all the way through there. Now, to go through from that point, use the analogy here. You imagine the bully and the wimp in the playground at school.
Mhm.
The wimp finally gets the courage up to be able to tell the bully, stop messing around with me, leave me alone. The bully doesn't instantly go, oh, okay, yeah, sorry. I've been messing around with you too much. I'm terribly sorry. I'll leave you alone. The bully usually escalates and starts pushing back even further. The wimp says, leave me alone, leave me alone. The bully escalates even further. It gets more and more and more.
Yeah.
Now, until that the wimp gets to the point where they go, no, that's enough, and levels up basically, and gets to the point where they can forcefully and meaningfully express that barrier and the back off message, the bully is going to keep on chipping away. So if you think of that spectrum from sitting on the couch with those love vibrations all the way through to Demon Slayer, there's a big spectrum, and it's more than just expressing the messages and saying no, no, no. It's internally embodying that beingness of being able to go, right, I'm confident, I'm, as Deb said, the captain, to be able to express that and mean it and back it up energetically.
Yeah. So people are one of the things that I work with people to activate is this alchemical transformation, where they actually move from that, well, you're saying wimp, but move from that, the beingness of fear, let's say, or unknown, not knowing what you don't know, so that you move through an alchemical transformation. Because this is what I experienced when I went through this for about a year and a half back in 2010, it started. And I left LA and I lived out of my motorhome for a year and a half for the most part, and went through a very deep alchemical transformation. So what I'm describing is what I've actually experienced. And now I actually work with people to do that. And the important thing is what Scott just described is you don't just go from being that wimp to being a demon slayer, which demon slayer training is part of the academy that we're launching. You have to go through an alchemical butterfly, the caterpillar that goes into that cocoon goes through a literal 100% DNA transformation to be able to come out of that cocoon flying in a beautiful butterfly, right? So that's what we're here through this transition, is moving through that space and time and awareness of the two realities that were, a lot of it was shoved under the carpet. It's now being revealed, and people are at choice point. right? People, there's no more gray area. There's no more fence sitting. It's you choose. Are you going to remain in the fear and the obedience? Or are you going to move into being a warrior of light and being powerful within from the inside out, and being able to radiate that love vibration that God intended for us to actually bring here onto the planet?
Absolutely. No, definitely. Is there anything that we could show to the viewers that I could leave below in the description below?
Well, do you want to show the 1.5-minute promo for the Super Bowl event?
Please do.
Okay. Do we?
I could share that on the Zoom if we want.
So what we did, we actually had created. So let me just share with you. We, you know who Pietsch, he is part of our lineup of people for Sunday, and I was talking to him about being on the show, and then he is doing the live stream. So he, with Pietsch, they've offered to do the whole 4 hours of live stream. And then while Scott's getting this ready, and just interrupt me whenever you're ready. The other thing I also would like to share is this has been so supported, what we're doing. We've got a billboard that went up in New York Times Square on Tuesday. So today being Thursday. Mm-hmm. And we also have billboards that have gone up around the world. And we're very excited about that. And it's really taking the conversation into that kind of level of mainstream, mm-hmm. where people are willing to engage. Are you ready with that?
I'm ready, but I don't know whether I can share just yet.
Oh, okay.
Nicholas might need to give me access.
Do the host.
Okay. I thought you was going to do it like you did last time on your screen.
Oh, sorry. Well, actually I can, but I still need to.
That's fine.
Well,
and here's the other thing while you guys are working out that, I will also share with you that today, Thursday, February 10th, we start the offense dialogue. We start the conversation in the chat. So if you go to transcendthematrix.com or warrioroflightministry.com, that will take you to the same place. And today we start the new Telegram channel. And also tonight at our 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm doing Zoom calls. This is to start the offense conversations and chats. I'm doing a Zoom call tonight, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday as we lead up to Sunday. And then Sunday for the broadcast, we are going to be doing surveys and polls and interacting with and engaging with the audience. So we're very excited about what we're going to be able to bring forth. You guys ready?
Yep.
Go for it.
Okay, awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to God Wins Super Bowl 2022. God versus Satan. The Super Bowl is more than just football. It's more than the annual spectacle hyped by the media and viewed by millions. Publicly, the halftime show is packaged as entertainment, but combines celebrities who've sold their soul to the devil with occult symbology, and you have a recipe for disaster. Beyond the halftime show and commercials, the event is a magnet for human trafficking. The horrors engaged with behind closed doors, surreptitiously amplified by millions of unwitting, adoring fans, makes it one of the world's largest public satanic rituals. In other words, it's like a massive evil prayer. Enter the light of God. Humanity goes on the offense. Join us in this special live broadcast, God Wins Super Bowl 2022. We have gathered a powerful team to empower and educate you as to how rituals and ceremonies interfere with your daily life, our free will, and God's will. We'll be decoding the symbolism with a panel of experts to expose the spells cast on humanity, the dark agendas now playing out, and the inner workings of the Matrix. During the halftime show, we'll be raising the vibration with music, prayer, and activating the light. Join us as humanity goes on the offense to take down Satan. February 13th. Details at transcendthematrix.com. And there we go.
Wow, that was excellent. Well, did you put that together, Scott? Because I can recognize that voice.
It was me, yes.
It was very good, honestly, very well played. And it's so true. It's absolutely so true. People need to be aware of this, and we need to start taking that power back. But Deborah and Scott, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful honor to speak to you once again. Is there anything that you'd both like to say to the viewers before we finish? Deborah, you go first.
No.
Okay. Just that we really hope that you engage, that it is time for humanity to go on the offense. And we are offering solutions, as well as where I'm going to be announcing a media coalition that we're bringing people together to change. That's Unifying God, Rise in Truth Media Coalition. So we've got to unify, organize, strategize, and execute a new game plan for humanity. We're in the transition of the Great Awakening. We've got to work together, and we've got to get organized, because the other side is very organized. We have to understand what to you engaging with the broadcast and anything else that you resonate with, as we're talking about a lot with energies and frequencies, whatever you resonate with, because it's time for us to move into a whole nother level of engagement as we create a reality that as we move through this transition. So thank you, Nicholas, for allowing us to bring this forward. And thank you for everything that you're doing.
Thank you. Scott, over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, join us on Sundays. Football's not your thing. This is more than just football, obviously. So we're on Sunday 13th, transcendthematrix.com. We're also broadcasting via Brighteon. So thank you. Special thanks to Brighteon, Mike Adams, for being the live stream partner there, and really appreciate that.
And Banners for Freedom with the billboards. They've been absolutely awesome. Sorry, I forgot to say their name before.
Yeah, we're actually going to have some video on the website. The billboard in New York Times Square is something to behold. It's kind of humbling to see that.
Yeah.
And the message is spreading. So thank you again, Nicholas.
Well, thank you. I will happily leave all the links below if you can send me them as soon as possible. And Thank you. And we'll speak again very soon. Thank you for your hard work. Bye-bye.
Much love.
Thank you.
Thank you.